Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're really getting into something special. We're looking at, well, ancient wisdom that promises not just insight, but real liberation, a kind of purification of the self. And I'm really excited to explore this with you. We'll be digging into the royal knowledge of devotion, specifically Chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Exactly. And our goal here, our mission, if you like, is to unpack what Lord Krishna himself labels the king of knowledge and the king of secrets. This isn't just some, academic look back. It's presented as a direct, even joyful path to self-realization. It reveals the nature of the divine and really the ultimate way to find liberation and that inner purity we were talking about.
That sounds pretty profound. So today we'll be looking at why this knowledge gets these grand titles. We'll also explore the, well, frankly, mind-bending nature of the divine as described here. It's quite paradoxical. And the focus on devotion, why that path is seen as supreme. Plus, there's this incredible promise made to people who genuinely follow this path. Okay, let's dive in. So Krishna starts this chapter with some really big claims. Not just important knowledge, but the king of knowledge, the king of secrets. And he specifically says he's sharing it because Arjuna, the person he's speaking to, is non-envious and has faith. What makes this knowledge so important? Why these titles? And why are non-enviousness and faith the prerequisites?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? These titles, King of Knowledge, Raja Vidya, and King of Secrets, Raja Guhya, they aren't just poetic flair, they point to something fundamentally different about this wisdom. King of Sciences, or King of Knowledge, suggests it's the very essence, the core of all spiritual and philosophical insight. Think of it as the ultimate summary, the peak understanding that gets right to the heart of reality. And crucially, it's described as the highest knowledge because it intrinsically purifies. It's not just about learning things about the divine. It leads to a direct personal realization of the divine, an actual experience, not just a concept.
So it's less like studying a subject and more like undergoing a process, something that changes you from the inside out, purifies you.
Exactly, which leads right into why it's the king of secrets, Raja Guhya. It's a secret not because it's deliberately hidden away in some vault, but because its true depth isn't grasped just by, reading the words. It's an experiential truth. It needs a certain readiness in the person. That's where the non-envious and faith parts come in. It requires an openness, a lack of cynicism, a willingness to actually engage with the truth on a heart level, not just intellectually. It demands you be ready for inner transformation.
That's a really key distinction. Knowledge that informs versus knowledge that transforms and purifies. Makes you think, doesn't it? What kind of knowledge have you encountered that feels like it genuinely changes you, rather than just adding facts to your head? Okay, now things get, well, really interesting, maybe even a bit mind-bending. Krishna talks about his own nature, all-pervading, transcendental, but there's a serious paradox here. How does that work?
It is a bit of a head-scratcher, definitely. And it's absolutely central to understanding how the divine relates to the world. Krishna says, essentially, that the entire universe is permeated by him, but in his unmanifest form. Think of it as the subtle underlying consciousness or energy behind everything.
Okay, so everywhere, like the basic fabric of reality.
Right. But here's the twist, the paradox. All beings exist in him. They're contained within this divine reality. But he is not in them in a way that limits him. He isn't confined by their individual forms, their flaws, their temporary nature. He remains totally transcendent, untouched.
That's critical. So, present everywhere as the foundation, but not limited or affected by the things existing within that foundation. That suggests, well, an incredible detachment.
Precisely. Detachment and purity, even while being the source and support of everything. And he gives this great analogy to help us grasp it. Think about the wind.
Okay.
The wind blows everywhere, right? It moves through everything, touches everything. But where does it always rest? In the sky, the ether. The sky allows the wind to move, contains it, but the sky itself remains vast, unaffected, unbound by the wind's activity.
I see. The sky isn't changed by the wind blowing through it.
Exactly. So Krishna is saying, just like the wind rests in the sky, all beings rest in him. He supports everything, allows everything, but remains unaffected, detached, pure. And, on top of that, he explains he's the ultimate cause of creation and dissolution. These vast cosmic cycles, eons long. At the end, everything merges back into his material nature, and at the start of the next cycle, he creates it all again. He oversees this whole cosmic dance, but he's never bound by it. Always supreme, always pure.
That wind and sky analogy really helps visualize it. Presence and transcendence simultaneously. If you think about that analogy, what might it suggest about how the divine is present in your own life or in the world? And maybe how could understanding that paradox help find a bit more detachment from, say, daily chaos, and maybe lead towards that inner purification? Now, this brings up a really important point. There are lots of spiritual paths out there, lots of ways people connect with the divine, different rituals. But this chapter, in our discussion, really emphasizes devotion, Bhakti Yoga. Why is devotion given this, well, supreme position?
Yes, that's a central theme in Chapter 9. Krishna is very direct about it. He acknowledges that other paths, other forms of worship, other rituals, they can definitely bring results. You might attain temporary heavenly realms, material benefits, things like that. But, he says, true, lasting liberation, getting off the cycle of birth and death entirely, achieving that ultimate purification that comes only through exclusive, unconditional devotion to him. He clearly states he's the ultimate recipient of all sacrifices, all worship, all offerings, even if someone is offering to another deity.
Wait, so even if they worship someone else, it still goes to Krishna ultimately?
In a sense, yes, because he is the underlying reality. But the intent and the focus are crucial. If the worship is directed towards, say, demigods for specific material gains, the results are limited to those gains. They're temporary, and eventually that person returns to the cycle of birth and death.
Okay.
But devotion offered directly to Krishna with a pure heart, without seeking those temporary material things, that's the direct line. That's the path to lasting liberation, to ending the cycle, to achieving that complete inner purity.
And what's really striking is how open this path is meant to be, right?
Absolutely. That's perhaps one of the most radical and beautiful parts. Krishna makes it incredibly clear. Anyone, literally anyone, regardless of their birth, social status, gender, even their past actions, what we might call sins. Anyone can reach the supreme destination just by taking shelter in him with sincere devotion. He even says he accepts someone considered most sinful if they firmly fix their mind on devotional service. The past doesn't disqualify them if the present intention is pure.
That's radically inclusive. It completely flattens any kind of spiritual hierarchy based on external factors.
Yeah.
Thinking about the kind of inclusivity, what does that suggest for how you might approach your own practice, or maybe how you view other people's spiritual journeys? Knowing that sincerity of heart is apparently the key that opens the door for everyone. So we've talked about these big ideas, royal knowledge, divine paradox, the supremacy of devotion. But what about, day-to-day practice? Krishna makes it sound incredibly simple, almost disarmingly so. There's that famous verse, 9.26.
Ah, yes. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. It's such a powerful verse. It's really the heart of practical Bhakti Yoga. What it underlines so clearly is that the value isn't in the offering itself. It's not about cost or grandeur. It's entirely about the love, the devotion, the sincerity of the heart behind the simple act. The inner disposition is everything.
So it removes any barrier. You don't need wealth or status or anything elaborate.
Exactly. A leaf, a little water, things anyone can find. It makes the path totally universal, totally accessible. It's about purifying your consciousness through these simple acts of love and offering.
That accessibility is amazing. And it's not just about what you offer, is it? There's a huge promise about what Krishna offers back in return.
Oh, absolutely. This is where the relationship becomes very personal, very reciprocal. Krishna gives this profound assurance to his devotees. He says he personally takes care of them. Specifically, he says he provides what they lack and preserves what they have.
Provides what they lack and preserves what they have.
Yes. And this isn't some abstract cosmic law. It's presented as his personal intervention, his divine grace. He's not depicted as neutral or indifferent. He says he's a friend, seated within their hearts, actively guiding, protecting, providing. This personal connection, this reliance, is key to liberation and purification.
That phrase, preserving what you have, what does that really mean? Is it about material things or something deeper?
Well, it can encompass material necessities, sure, but the primary meaning is spiritual. He ensures the devotee has what they need for their spiritual progress. He preserves their devotion, their spiritual gains, protects them from falling back, ensures their inner peace, their clarity grows. And then comes that really bold, unequivocal promise that brings so much comfort. He declares, "My devotee will never perish. Kanteya pratyajani hi nama bhakta prajati."
Wow, never perish. That's an ultimate guarantee.
It is. It's a statement of ultimate protection, ultimate security, ultimate purification from fear and doubt, and eventual liberation, all stemming from that unwavering faith and sincere devotion. It promises eternal shelter.
So if it's truly the intention, the love behind even the simplest offering that matters most for purification and connection, what simple offerings in your own daily life, maybe your time, your attention, an act of kindness, could you try to infuse with a bit more of that focused love and devotion? How might just that shift change things for you? Maybe bring a deeper sense of fulfillment or peace? Well, this has been quite a journey today, hasn't it? We started with understanding this royal knowledge as a direct path to inner purification, then grappled with that fascinating paradox of the divine being both everywhere and yet completely transcendent, and landed on this incredibly accessible, deeply personal path of devotion, bhakti, which holds this promise of liberation for absolutely everyone.
It really has. Bhagavad Gita Chapter 9 powerfully lays out bhakti as the supreme yoga, the most inclusive path. It shifts the focus from external complexity to internal sincerity. The purity of the heart matters more than the grandeur of the ritual, and it culminates in this promise of divine grace, personal care, and ultimate liberation for anyone who dedicates themselves to the Supreme Being with that pure heart. It's a message packed with hope and transformative potential.
So here's a final thought to maybe carry with you. Considering Krishna's promise to personally provide for his devotees, preserve what they have, and guarantee they never perish, essentially offering complete protection and purification. What parts of your life, maybe areas of worry or struggle, might benefit from experimenting with a deeper sense of trust and surrender? How might consciously cultivating that trust, that reliance, maybe change how you face challenges and perhaps lead you toward greater inner peace? Something to ponder until our next deep dive.